In this lesson, we are going to talk about React and React 3 Fiber. It's kind of a chill lesson. You guys can just relax. I'm going to talk a bit about all those things that are coming. And this is actually the lesson. This lesson is the start of a whole new chapter, a whole new adventure. I hope you guys are ready. So, until now, we have been using Three.js in pure JavaScript. Okay, we just had one JavaScript file and we put a lot of code in it. But sometimes we need to integrate Three.js into very specific environments like frameworks. Okay, one of the most popular frameworks is React, and you probably have heard about React. If you never heard about React, don't worry, I got you covered too. But if you have heard about React, you know that it's quite a huge thing. And actually implementing Three.js into React might sound like a constraint. Like, I don't know, your client says, okay, I want a cool WebGL application, but we are using React. So you're like, oh no, it's going to be harder. Actually, no, it's going to be easier, as you will see a little later. If you know nothing about React, so don't worry, I got you covered. We will learn it together in the next lesson. React. I'm still going to introduce React, then talk a bit about React 3 Fiber, and then the table of content of the whole chapter. React is a library. I know I said it's a framework, but it's actually a library. If you check on the official website, you will see that React is a library to create user interfaces. Okay, the idea is that you write something in a new language called GSX. It's a bit more, but the idea is that there is that new language named GSX. It's a tag-based language. If you don't know what a tag-based language, well, HTML is a tag-based language. So it's kind of the same thing. And what you write in GSX is being compiled into a traditional website. So you might think, not very different from writing HTML. So why don't we just write HTML like we used to do? Here's the thing. When the data changes, because you are creating an interface, so a website, with data that you inject, data that comes from, I don't know, JSON files, APIs, what the user is doing, some statistics and things like that. When the data changes, your UI will change automatically without you having to know to be warned. Like, some data changes, okay, I know that, then I inject it there, and then I put some data below and above, and then it creates bug, and I have to listen to the events again. You don't have to do that. The data will change automatically. That's the core of React, the main purpose of React. Your UI will react to the data. And we also call this effect the data binding, but it's kind of the old term. Today we don't say data binding that much. Okay, great. React provides a lot of tools and also structure solutions, something like components, some phases during the lifespan of a component, like when it's created, when it's being destroyed, before and after and stuff. And this is why we also talk about React as a framework. Okay, you get access to a lot of tools and structure solutions, which make it more like a framework when you can use it to create an application and stuff. And it's not just to projects where the data changes frequently. All right, it's not big. You can use React just for the tools and the structure solution, even if the data doesn't change that much on screen. I don't know, because it's not statistics with a complex graph and it keeps changing. Even if it's not the case, you can use React and benefit from all those tools and structure solutions. Yeah, by the way, I've been talking about websites, but React can be used to build a lot more, not just websites. Initially, it was the purpose of React, okay? But you can build a lot more, but we are going to focus on websites because Three.js is for websites. We have been building websites. That's the purpose of this course. So we're going to focus on that, but be aware that you can do a lot more with React. Also, there is a lot of alternatives, and there are great alternatives to React, okay? Two of my favorites are Vue.js and Svelte. There is a lot more, and those are just great. And some of them even have advantages compared to React, okay? But React is the most popular one, and also Three.js integrates super well with React. That doesn't mean you can't use Three.js with other solutions, and there are actually some efforts, like on Vue.js. I know there are some solutions to integrate Three.js quite simply, but it's even better these days with React, and React is the most popular framework library. So let's learn React. By the way, if you're a front-end developer, React is a must-have in your toolset. Okay, I know there is a lot of things to learn when you're a front-end developer, but React is so cool, so useful, and a lot of clients need you to know React, so you have to learn it. Good news, we are going to learn it together. So if you don't already know it, know React, yeah, I got you covered. There are some drawbacks. I know React fans are gonna say, why are you going to say? There are some drawbacks. First of all, you need to learn it. Makes sense. Yes, but it's quite huge. Also, second point, it's still under development. What does that mean? React is a good product. It's ready to use. It's very stable. You can use it, okay? But it keeps evolving, and that's for the best, okay? It keeps getting better, so it keeps changes. And sometimes changes will break the way you use React, meaning you will have to learn the new way of using React. Recently, they did some changes, like, I don't know, I think it was 1 year ago, 2 years ago, maybe more, where we write React very differently now. It's for the best, okay? It keeps evolving, but you have to keep learning, which I think actually is great because you never get bored and things are getting better. Third point, it's harder to debug. Yes, you have some kind of abstraction layer. If suddenly there is nothing on the screen, or there is an error or warning or whatever, well, maybe it comes from React. It's probably you that made a mistake, but where's the mistakes exactly? And it gets a bit harder to understand where you did a mistake. But React comes, and the various solutions like React 3 Fiber comes with solutions to ease the debug. Okay, so it's a bit harder, but there are solutions to help us. Okay, that was React. We are going to talk a lot more about React in the next lesson, which is quite a big lesson, you will see. But now let's talk about React 3 Fiber. Again, it's going to be just an introduction because the next lesson is going to focus on React 3 Fiber, give some examples and stuff. But let me introduce you React 3 Fiber, just so you understand in what you stepped in. So 3JS, I said 3JS integrates super well with React, and this is thanks to React 3 Fiber. What is React 3 Fiber? I'm going to tell you right after. First, let me give you some examples. And actually, there is one running right now on the screen, as you can see right here. So this is a code sandbox. It's where you put code and you see the results so that you can share it easily. You probably have seen some website like this. And this is an example. I didn't do this example, okay? It's made from other people. It's Paul, okay? It's Paul. I will introduce Paul right after. And as you can see, this is the first floor of 3JS journey, you know, on the homepage, the experience. And see that code? There is almost nothing. And it's super simple to understand. There is a level. And as you can see, it's text-based. So it looks like kind of HTML. That's the JSX things I've been talking about. There is sudo, my dog, right here. There is the camera, is this part here. There is a cactus. I hope you say that in English. Some things there, the icon, the pyramid and stuff. Okay, cool. And then you get into the components and there is almost nothing. See, that's the cactus. There is almost nothing. Maybe we can check, I don't know, like sudo. Almost nothing. Maybe it's new, maybe you don't understand it yet. Do not worry. In 2 lessons, you will understand that code. Don't worry. Okay, let's see some other examples. I wanted to put so many examples. There is like what, almost 10 examples. I wanted to put like 20, but we have to move on. This just looks great. Okay, that's a baked shadow. No, it's not. You can get that result without React 3 Fiber, but React 3 Fiber made that so much easier. It's called accumulative shadows. We will learn that. Okay, next example. Let's go. By the way, all those examples, you have the links right below, you know, the little tab right below with the links. Click on it and you will get access to those examples. All right, a spaceship. So it's not about the model itself. The model is imported, the astronaut too. But it's about the interaction. We have the camera moving. We can interact. We have this transform controls, but that looks so much different than what we are used to see in 3JS. We will learn that together, don't worry. And they are linked together, and check the code. Almost nothing. It's so easy to understand. There is almost no code, and there is a lot of line breaks too. So it could be even smaller. Next one. I have to go fast on those examples. I always spend so much time. I want to explain each part of those examples, but we don't have that much time. We have so much to see. All right, a good example for the 20K students milestone of 30 years journey. Paul again had fun and he reproduced what I did in Blender using React through Fiber, obviously. And you have physics and you have post-processing with the depth of field, and check the code. There is almost nothing. That's all. That's the whole code. I know there is a index.js, but that's kind of the root file, the entry point. This is what matters. And there is almost nothing. Next one. Okay, another good example with quite a lot of post-processing, and it's looking super well. And check the example. So obviously the model is imported, almost nothing. And there is a Lamborghini JS file, but this is, I'm quite sure this is mostly made automatically with a solution that I will show you later. And the effect parts that handles all the post-processing, and there is almost nothing. It's mostly like tweaking, parameters. That's the biggest part of the file. And check that reflection on the floor. Beautiful. We will learn to do that together. Next one. Which one was it? I think that's the next one. Oh yeah, I like this one. That's a good example. A crazy example, actually. A bit more code, but for what's happening on screen, it's nothing. Check that. Okay, we have a phone, we can move a finger, not bad, but this is a web view, and we can interact with it, and we can click and click on the button and stuff, and it keeps working, and that's great. Next one. Yeah, another one that I just think looks super cool, sorry, with the perfect reflection on the floor. Check that reflection, so good. Let's not spend too much time on this one. Next one. Physics, guys, physics. I love physics. And you will see that physics has become even easier today. Remember the lessons about physics? It was quite a big lesson, hard lesson. It has become so much easier. Just check that code. There is almost nothing, and we have physics, and we can play, and the performances are just great. And we will learn to do physics together. All right, two more. But you guys can see much more examples. So yeah, a game, we can build a game, guys. We can build a game with React through Fiber. It's not just to display one small object and do minimalist interactions. You can do much more. And is there a last one? I think so, maybe. Oh yeah, just good looking one. I just like the look of it. And what's that? Oh, we can tweak it, but that's new. I don't know. It looks different from that GUI. What's happening? We'll learn that together, don't worry. All right, let's get back to our 3JS journey examples and talk a bit more about React through Fiber, okay? Okay, we've seen some examples. It's great, but what is React through Fiber? React through Fiber is what we call a React renderer. Remember earlier when I told you that we write JSX and it gets compiled into a website? Well, the idea is that there is a renderer that is already doing that. You write JSX and it builds a website. Okay, but now there is a renderer that takes your JSX and compiles it into a 3DS scene. That's the purpose of the React through Fiber renderer. You write JSX and you get a scene as the result, just like you write a mesh and you get a mesh there, and you write, I don't know, this, and you get the level, and it works like that. And you want an ambient light, you just do ambient light. That's the idea. React through Fiber, we also take care of a lot of default setting. If you want to create, I don't know, in pure JavaScript, a scene that looks good, you have to take care of the encoding, create the camera, move the camera, change the perspective, handle the resizing, make sure you are outputting in sRGB. When you get some textures, you have to set the encoding to the same sRGB. You have to add the anti-alias, make sure the pixel ratio doesn't go above 2. It's a lot of default settings. For beginners, it's hard. And even for confirmed developers, well, it takes time, and we have to write all of those. But when using React through Fiber, the default settings just look good. That doesn't mean you can't change it, but by default, it looks good so that you can just focus on your experience, on on the composition of your scene, and without having to tweak everything so that it looks good. Some history about React 3 Fiber. So it has been created in 2019, so it's quite recent. It keeps evolving and improving. So that's great, but does that mean that it changes a lot? No, don't worry. Since the version 8 of React 3 Fiber that has been published in May 2022, it's very stable, and the way we write React 3 Fiber code should not change too much. So don't worry about that. Also, so I'm saying React 3 Fiber, it's quite long to say. You can call it R3F or just Fiber, it's up to you. I've put some links, so the GitHub, the website, the examples, that's the one I told you about. Go check those examples. That's the best way to see the potential of React 3 Fiber. And now let's talk about the authors of React 3 Fiber. React 3 Fiber was created by Paul Henschel, I hope I say it right. Also known as OXCAOA. Well, that's the Twitter name. It's automatically generated. I've put some links. Follow Paul on Twitter mostly, and also GitHub if you want to see some cool experiences made with React 3 Fiber, and not just only React 3 Fiber stuff. He posts a lot of WebGL and 3JS and cool stuff. So follow Paul. Paul is the founder and manager of Poimenders. Again, I hope I'm saying it right, and it's written like this: PMNDRS. Why not? It's an open source collective of developers at the origin of many libraries, so React 3 Fiber, but also a lot more libraries, and we are going to use them because they merge together super well. And throughout the whole chapter, we are going to use a bunch of their libraries and tools and examples and resources. It's a lot of things we can use. We can just use thanks to the Poimenders. So quoting Paul, the idea behind Poimenders is to form a collective where developers can join and help one another. It's all about helping. It also serves to found, highlight, and promote projects. I put the links, the Twitter of the Poimenders. There is also an open collective. If you want to help them financially, you can using the open collective page. And there is also a Discord server if you want to hang around with them, or if you have questions, you can still use the React 3 Fiber, the 3JS Journey Discord server, but you can also join their Discord, and it's public and it's fun and it's a very active community. I also asked Paul to say a few words about React 3 Fiber, but few words became few paragraphs, and it's quite a huge text. So I'm not going to quote that text because it's quite big. Check it below. So pause the video, read that text. It's what Paul said about React 3 Fiber, why he created React 3 Fiber. It's super interesting. You get the essence of React 3 Fiber. So go check below, pause the video, come back when you're done. It's not that big, don't worry, but it's super interesting. Okay, next and final section, we're going to talk about the next lesson. So it's the table of content. I will just give you a glimpse of what's coming without spoiling too much. So next lesson, I told you we are going to learn React. So we are going to create a React application. We are going to put a 3JS and React 3 Fiber aside and focus on React. It's beginner friendly, okay? If that's the first time you hear about React, do not worry, I got you covered. If you already know React, you can probably skip it. You will see actually it's quite a big lesson because it's beginner friendly, because we're going to learn enough knowledge to use React 3 Fiber, but also go a little further so that you can really start your career on React and create projects not necessarily related to React 3 Fiber. I just wanted to teach you React. It's a bonus. Enjoy. Then next lesson, we are going to create our first React 3 Fiber application. So we get back to 3JS and we start having fun. We start understanding how to install, use React 3 Fiber, and I'm going to give you a bunch of examples on how to use it. Next is about Dre. Remember what Paul said? It's about helping, and Dre is the best example about that. The Poimenders have been gathering helpers. We call those helpers. It's kind of components hooks and things like that that you can use really, really easily. Like, I don't know, you want an orbit control, you can just import it and use it. You want to link two things together with a line in 3D, you can do it easily. You want some sparkles that are floating around, you use a Dray helper. So it's that simple, that's crazy. I have to force myself not to give too much examples. So we are going to learn in this lesson what is Dray, how to use those helper, and we're going to try some of them, but not too much because you will see there are hundreds of them. And later in the course, we are going to use more of them. Next lesson is about debug. I know we already talked about debug. We already have a debug lesson, but this is a debug lesson about React, debug about React 3 Fiber, and also discovering new tools made possible thanks to React and React 3 Fiber, like the little one you have running right here. I'm actually going to get back to this one because the other one was moving probably too much. Next is about environment and staging. I'm talking about shadows, lights, environment maps. You might say, we already know those, but you will see first how to implement those that we already know in React 3 Fiber, and then discover new possibilities, new helpers. You will see it's so cool. We can get like beautiful shadows, very different from the usual. We can set an environment map with just like 2 lines of code without having to convert to a cube map and stuff. And a lot more you will see in this lesson. It's how you get like really good looking scene. Then we learn how to load a model. So we have been talking about using the GLTF loader, things like that, where things are a bit different, a bit better in React 3 Fiber, and we will discover how in this lesson. Next, 3D text, and there is already a lesson named like that. And yes, I know, because we are doing the same thing. This way you can compare the way you used it, you implemented the 3D text in native JavaScript, and to the way we implement it in React 3 Fiber. And we see that the lesson is much faster because it's so much easier. And it's a good way to compare and see the benefits of React 3 Fiber. Next one is in the same spirit. The idea is that we are going to do the portal. Remember the portal we created in Blender and then imported in 3JS using native JavaScript, where we are going to do it again, but this time using React 3 Fiber, discover more stuff and be able to compare it and see how much easier it gets. Next, we are going to learn about mouse events. So I call this lesson mouse, but it's more about pointer because it also works with touch screen, but it was a bit more simple. Pointer is not a term that used. So I said mouse, but it's more about pointer. It's much easier. Remember the raycaster thing? You know, we had to create a kind of a raycaster and test the intersection with objects and cast it on each frame if we want to do specific interactions. It was quite hard. Forget about that. It's so much easier in React 3 Fiber. You don't even care about the raycaster. There is one happening in the background. You don't even know it. And you can just like listen to events on an object with just 1 line of code. You know when the user clicks on the object, and you can do whatever you want with it. Make it jump, change its color, and do a lot more you will discover in this lesson. Next one is about post-processing. Yes, again, post-processing, but this time with a different approach. We are going to use something else to do the post-processing. And that something else will be a bit easier, but it will also improve performances and enable more effects, more things. You will see. I should not spoil. Well, little spoiler, we are going to mimic the effect in, I don't know if you guys know the game Sea of Thieves. When you drink, it's a pirates game, and when you drink booze, you get drunk and the screen starts to wobble like this. We're going to do that in this lesson. Next one is fun and simple portfolio. We are going to create a simple portfolio. It's kind of a new project. This one is cool because it's kind of the first real project we do with React 3 Fiber. And the idea is that we're going to find some tricks to create a cool portfolio with minimal effort. All right? Not spoiling anything. Next one is about physics. What? Again, physics? Yes, because we're going to use a different physics library, which is better. You will see how. And the name is Rapier. Okay, I can spoil that. Name of the library is Rapier. and it's super cool, and it integrates super well, sorry, with React 3 Fiber, and it's more performant. It's so good. It's so much fun. Quite a big one. And then final lesson, we are going to create a game. Yes, a real game. So it's going to be kind of a small game because I had to make it fit in one lesson, but it's still a game with game mechanics. When we're going to play a marble, I'm going to spoil a bit on this one. We're going to play a marble, so kind of a sphere, a ball, and with the keyboard, we have to control that ball, make it roll through a level, and in that level, you have traps, and you have to dodge and jump above the traps and reach the end of the level as fast as possible. And then you have a restart button, you start again, and the level is different, and you have the time showing up, and the inputs are showing up on the screen. It's a lot of fun, quite a big one, super interesting one. I can't wait to you guys to have fun with this one and create your own games. And obviously there is physics, because it's so much more fun when there is physics. Okay, I hope you guys are ready for this new adventure, quite a big adventure, a whole new chapter. I see you in the next lesson.